Hey everybody. Get this fan out of my hair a little bit here. I have a fan blowing on me. It's still pretty hot in this joint. Hello. Welcome to another episode of WIP Wednesday Live. Yes, I'm not muted. Okay, good. Music can come down a bit more though. Yeah, thank you guys for joining me. As you can see, my display is almost done. I have one more shelf I'm working on, and then I'm back to customs, which I'm so excited about. Tonight we're going to start something. So first off, just the usuals. If you guys haven't already, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you aren't already. Please say something in the chat. I love to really engage with you guys, and we got a couple people who generally engage with everybody. Speaking of which, Anonymous Dude 123 says, thanks for the stream. Go to chill out and talk toys and comic culture. What's up, man? How's things in Toronto? And Marcus E says, hola. Hey, man. How you doing? Hey, Marcus, tonight I'm going to go over that shoulder thing we were talking about because it works for what I'm working on. Let's see. So like I was saying, if you haven't already, please hit the like, drop a comment if you're here in the chat, and if you're watching on the replay, drop a comment below. Tonight I'm going to be working on this guy. Sorry, the lighting's a little bit bad, but this is going to be an Age of Apocalypse Havok. I am working on I had so much fun doing those easy customs. I'm going to explain what I mean by that later, but when I did Green Jumpsuit Professor X, Mastermind, and Reese from the Reavers, that I was like, I want to do a couple more of them because they were fun and they were quick and they were easy and they turned out pretty good. So Havok is going to be another one of those easy customs that I'm calling it. For a few reasons, and I'll explain once we get going. And that's what I'm going to be working on tonight. I'll walk you guys through some process, and we'll kind of go from there. If you haven't checked out last week's episode, it was a little bit different. It was pretty fun. My buddy Nick Dees, he is a stand-up comedian. Oh, let's do this. I think I can put his tag up on the screen. There we go. That's his IG. So Nick D's comedy on Instagram. He's been posting kind of little short videos for the last week. So if you want to check out some of his work, it's up on there. Does a lot of crowd work and stuff. And it's pretty funny. But we had a chat last week on the live stream, and we kind of just talked. I mean, we went down a few rabbit holes, talking Star Wars, talking MCU. And it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of good engagement with the chat as well, which was really awesome. So yeah, I was super happy with last week. I know he had a good time as well. So hopefully we'll get to have him back on the show and we can kind of do a follow-up with him. But yeah. So yeah, the cool thing about tonight is I finally figured out how to set up my Sony ZV-1. So I'm going to have very good quality desk camera tonight, so you guys will be able to really see good quality when you're looking at me customize. Usually it's a little not as good as I'd like it to be, so yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. Anonymous Dude says, cooling down in Toronto significantly. Fall is here. Fall is my favorite, man. I love the fall in British Columbia here on the west coast of the country. The fall is beautiful, but once we start raining, we rain for like 5 months. It's pretty bad. Sometimes as early as October, and it'll just go and go and go. That's our winters, right? We don't get snow, but lots of rain. So Marcus E said, what are the boots that you're using? That's a great question. So yeah, I'll break that all down in just 1 second. I'm going to just get through these last little things. That's it. Quebec Diorama says, hello sir, how are you? Thanks for stopping by. Let's switch over to we're going to add the desk camera. Look how crystal clear this is. We're going to go solo. Woohoo. Once I saw how clean and clear Toying Around's camera was, because he bought this camera, once I saw how clear it was, I'm like, I need that for my overhead cam because it is crystal clear, and when I'm sculpting, that's the biggest issue that I usually have. So this is going to be an Age of Apocalypse Havok. He also has this strap, which I may or may not use. Right now, it's kind of just a placeholder. I'm still going to sculpt on top of it, but I'm considering just sculpting a strap from scratch. It might be easier. So, and I can actually turn the brightness up a little bit so you guys can see a bit better too. There we go. Anonymous dude says last week was fire. Nick was great. Yeah, man, he's a good dude. We've been chatting all week too, so pretty good stuff. Okay, so for parts for what I've used for this figure, I've used a pink Black Panther Marvel Legends body as the base. I did this with purpose. Obviously, the character's costume is black, so there's my reasoning. The lower arms are also Black Panther. The boots are actually from the Villains Wave Red Skull. They actually don't fit perfect. They're actually a little smaller than the leg. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build those out tonight, most likely. So they're a bit thicker. And then the shoulders and upper arms and elbows are from a Age of Apocalypse X-Man figure. And the head is the unmasked Jamie Madrox head from Multiple Man. So yeah, it's a easy little mix of parts. I think the belt is from Bone Crusher or Skull Crusher or whatever that Deathlock repaint Reaver was. And this strap is from one of the Marvel Legends purses from one of the goblins, I think. So yeah. Oh, look at that. Star Marvel. I stayed up long enough just to say what's up. Hey, man. Thank you for saying hello. I still have to check out your video. I haven't had a chance. The last few days have been a little crazy. Actually, I'm not going to lie. The last few days, I have been watching a lot of old WWF pay-per-view. We'll get to that. But thank you for popping by and saying hello. If you guys aren't following Star Marvel, go check him out. He's putting out stellar work. Marcus says that's a solid recipe. Yeah, thanks, man. I'm pretty pumped on it. Once I got those, I was having a hard time with the arms. I kind of started with some cannonball arms and so the reason I picked the black base is because what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to use this Winsor & Newton brush cleaner. That's where we're going to start tonight. And I'm going to remove all this pink paint from the lower arms. I've never done this big of an area before, but I think it should work still. But I'm going to clean everything off and make it all pure black. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in the peg holes on the upper arms tonight, not the lower yet. And then on the legs, and I'm going to thicken the boots, and I'm going to basically smooth out the head so I have an even shaped head to start sculpting hair on. And why I'm not going to fill the pegs on the lower arms is because I'm going to then remove these arms and I'm going to dye the sleeves and the boots black. So that way I don't actually have to do any prep at all on this figure. So when I say easy customs, I don't mean that they're easy in skill level or they're just for me that it's just less steps. Usually when I customize a figure, if this base body is black, I will still, oops, I'm not even on camera. I will still sand it all down, prep all the joints, prime it gray, then paint it black. That's the kind of person I am because I like to have an even smooth base to start painting with when I'm, priming it. You know what I mean? When I'm a priming particular person. But with those last set of easy customs I did, I kind of just worked with what I had. I paint matched a few spots to make things work, and voila. So this time, I don't want to do any prep on the shoulder joints. I did do a little bit to open up the holes around the arms, just so the arms would actually lay flatter to the side. Before they kind of had that Shatterstar syndrome where they kind of are out like this, and you can't do anything about it. But yeah, I don't want to have to deal with any types of paint rubs. So I'm going to dye those black. So the whole base body is just black. And then I'm going to give it a once over, just kind of a really light coat of black to make it all even. And then I'm going to maybe do a little bit of like blue shading, very light amount of blue shading. Going to sculpt a little bit of details on the neck and chest area. And then once this is dyed, I'll put this back together. I'll fill these peg holes. I'll, make the jacket kind of come down to there, the sleeves, give them some glove cuffs. And yeah, and then he should be pretty quick to finish. So, but I had to have something for you guys to do because I'm working on 2 projects that are secret and I cannot really share them with anybody. One is my Secret Santa. The other is for one of my local friends. But I haven't really, the only thing I've done to both is just prep them. I can tell you my Secret Santa is a very ambitious project. I'm pretty excited to be able to share it. I might even try to do a video journal, but no promises because you know how I am with these YouTube things. Not the best. Marcus E says, I need to get that brush cleaner. I found some that looks similar, but I forgot the brand. Yeah, so it's Windsor and Newton. Windsor, that's my hometown. But yeah, brush cleaner and restore. It works really good. In the times I've used it, again, I've never used it in such a big application like we're going to tonight. Something else we're going to do is, Marcus, this is kind of something we've been talking about. So Marcus has been trying to crack a movie cable torso, and he hasn't really been having any luck. So I told him that there's options that you can do where you can just kind of cut out the shoulders instead of cracking the torso, which is something I do a lot. So as you can see, these fit relatively well on here. But the problem is they're kind of loose. So what we need to do is and that's because the peg on the shoulders is too skinny inside the hole. So the hole on these shoulder joints, I need to fill in that hole a little bit. So what I'm going to use to do that is this Bondic pen, which I believe I've used on here once before. I can't remember what the purpose was, but it's basically like a resin gun that you cure with a UV light as you kind of use it, a resin pen, I guess. So we're going to use that tonight to thicken the inside peg of this. So we have to start by taking this apart. So in order for me to get all this paint off, I need to take this belt off. I'm going to take the boots off. I'm going to take the arms off. And I have with me my trusty mug, Troy and I bed in the morning. And this is hot water. I prepped it. I'm going to take this head off for now. And we're going to start with these arms. So Marcus, you can see what I'm going to do here. So these are already cut, obviously. I can still do a video with you if you like. But I'll show you what to do when you cut these. I can even do one. I probably have something I can cut. What do I got? What do I have to cut? This will work. We have this Sentry figure. So I'll show you how to take them out of this. I'll show you. But I'm going to take this apart first. And I'm going to need some paper towels. Got a couple here. That should do. So yeah, this is what I use to dye with. This is RIT synthetic graphite dye. This will dye it black. Things to consider if you're considering dyeing. Any paint you put on top of the dye, regardless of how you treat it, the dye will eventually bleed through. So I did a Venom. I dyed an Omega Red figure, and then I did the white symbol, and the black is all coming through the white after only I've seen it happen like pretty quickly. Okay, so before I get back to that, but okay, so usually when I cut on the back side. So you can see here, all I'm going to do is just pop this right out. It'll basically just come right out. Not as easy as I thought, but still. So you can see there that I basically just cut that peg. But the problem is this hole is too small, too big for this peg. So I'm going to add some walls to the inside of that. This guy, there you go. See, I can just pull this one out. Looks like, yeah, there you go. So again, I'm just popping it. So the things you need to be careful with when you're cutting these is, I'll just show you. Okay. I have to put him back in first. Let me focus on the work at hand first. Then I'll do this one and show you what to like kind of watch out for. Oh, look at that. Nick Dees is here. I'm going to say hi to a few more people. Quebec Diorama says, what paint sealer do you use? I actually use, let me grab it. I use two things. I use this and this. So I use this to get a completely matte finish. This is Liquitex matte varnish. It is very matte. It like goes flat. I actually find it lifeless, so I can't use it alone. So I use this as like my main form of protection. And then I go with my airbrush and I use Pledge Floor Care. I know it seems crazy, but I do a very light overspray if I just want to bring that dullness back to life. Or if I want to go for a full sheen, I just give her just. But yeah, Pledge Floor that's actually what I use. Marcus Yee says, I'm grabbing hot water. I might try it with cable right now. Yeah, do it. Give it a try. I can send you the link if you wanted to hop on too. We could do it together if you want. Louis Berry, a new name. Hello. Nice to see you here. Thank you for joining. Hope to get in She-Hulk episode 4, Luke and William Hurt as Red Hulk if he filmed scenes before he passed away, RIP. Man, I would love to see that. I don't know if, I mean, I'd love that. I hope that if we get a Red Hulk that they use his likeness at least, you know? So yeah, I'm just heating that up. I'm popping this apart. I'm taking this belt off. It's pliable because it's been heated. And then, I don't know. I might leave these on for now and then pull them off later. Or, no. It's going to make a mess. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to avoid putting any, so when I use epoxy sculpt, it makes like kind of like a mess, especially on pure black. So I'm trying to be very clean about what I use, and yeah, I need to just take these apart when I work on them. So yeah. Okay, so we're good there. Okay, so I'm going to put Sentry in, and we're going to do this right now. We'll get in there, big guy. Anonymous dude says, question, do you have a Marvel Legend that you see as state of the art that inspires you? The hair and sculpt on the new Sentry are quite dynamic. I've never seen that before. Yeah, I noticed the hair as well. It seems like they're taking likenesses from, you know, the Christinas, Conans, and the Mike Phoenix customs, and even, you know, Morning Wolf's hair is pretty dynamic nowadays too, right? Blueberry Customs as well. Yeah, so it seems like they're kind of taking cues from, you know, what's happening in the customizing community. Cool to see. I have no preference really. You know, I like to see them trying new things. It's cool. I think aesthetically it moves them forward, and they should be looking at stuff like that. So yeah, I'm on board. Nick Dees says, let's go. What's up, baby? Anonymous dude says, Nick Dees, hey, you were fantastic last week. Hope the comedy is going well. That's very nice of you. Marcus C says, that's how you do it. And Nick says, Anonymous, thank you, bro. Can't complain. Got a couple shows this week. Then my birthday on Monday. That's right. It's your birthday next week. Hope you have a good birthday, dude. Oh, that's pretty cool. Anonymous dude says, when I was a kid, my dream was to be a cartoonist and a comedian. Live the dream. And Quebec Diorama says, I plan to do my first custom next year. We have pinless bodies, but I don't know how the pinless body works. So it's very similar to what I'm about to do. But I'm going to do a video, I promise. I actually have it already filmed. I just need to put it together. Once my shelves are done, I get on a roll with customs again, I'm going to take a break and do it. Okay, so you get a sharp knife. Watch your fingers. I always, for the sake of consistency, I always go in from the back. That's what she said. That's what he said. That's what I said. Anyway, so yeah, so I go in, and the reason why is because I'll just explain later. So you kind of start going, you don't put a lot of pressure because you don't want to cut too far down and cut into the arm. Oops, sorry. Right? I don't want to cut into this part. I don't want to hurt the existing piece. But you have to make sure that you go all the way through. So usually when it happens, you'll feel it kind of release. Remember how I was saying, Marcus, with the torso crack, when you get it, you get it. You can tell you got it. I know you didn't have luck with it, but I mean, you know what I mean. Okay, so I think that one I'll be able to just pop out. Yeah, so this one, I'm getting good at this. I should be at this point. I usually use one of these nail sets. Again, I use these for kind of everything. And then I, while it's still pliable and warm, I just kind of get out of there. Why are you not coming out? Oh, you are coming out. I'm just not doing it the right way, apparently. There we go. Where'd it go? Dropped it. So yeah, so there we go. Now I'll show you how to kind of put it back together. So yeah, I'll put this one in. We'll do the other arm. Drop that back in. So yeah, so Quebec diorama, the pinless thing kind of works the same way. It's let's see here. Do I have anything that's pinless? I have the pieces that I originally did, but what do I got? What do I got? Oh, those are pinless. Yeah. Okay, so here's Into the Spider-Verse Prowler. Not the best example because it uses old parts, but it does have new arms, even though they look exactly like the old ones. But they are pinless. So I will show you how to do these in 1 second. And Nick, yeah, I'm just soaking it. This is hot boiling water. You know, you want to get it, like, it's got to be pretty hot. So yeah, so again, pull the arm back, expose as much of the shoulder as you can on the back side here. Try to keep the blade against the shoulder joint, so that way if you give too much space, you could leave like kind of like a little mushroom head on the kind of end of the peg, and it makes it difficult to take it on and off cleanly. So, and then just again, don't put any force on it. You don't want the knife to go through, you don't want the knife to cut through here, so you just want to go nice and slow and just, like, you know, slightly rock it until you hear it kind of, there we go. There was the release. I don't know if you heard it, but it just kind of goes. Okay. Nice. I got another clean one. That's good. Sometimes I can't get them to go clean. Like sometimes I leave that little tail on the end and it makes it, they don't sit nicely when I put them back together. It does happen. Then you have to kind of go in there and play surgery. But yeah, there we go. That's how you do it. This isn't how I expected to spend WIP Wednesday, but if it helps, then that works for me. Okay, so here's that other one. As you can see, this is relatively pliable, even though that water is losing its heat. So, oh, my stupid, there we go. So yeah, we're going to just basically pop that back open. It does have a little bit of a tail on it. It's too bad. Thought I got it good. So you can see right there, maybe. I don't know if you can. It depends how good the. But yeah, I left a little bit of a. I left some pieces on. I gotta have to clean them up. So I got some edges that are kind of like frayed a little bit, and I need to make sure that that is not like that because it basically folds when I put it into the peg again. And I got to make sure that we don't have that, because if it does, then it won't sit properly and it'll leave a big gap in the arm. So yeah, so this way is not necessarily a fail-safe. The other issue you can have is what I had with Havok, where I put the arm on and the armhole, the hole in the peg was too small for the actual peg itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to make that peg hole a little more snug with that Bondic pen. And then, yeah, I had to do that with that Trevor Fitzroy figure I made for Morning Wolf as well. The the Dormammu arms that I use. I'm gonna put that back in. Same with this, and same with this. There we go. Lewis Berry says, I hope to get Tom Hardy as Logan at D23. Tom Hardy as Logan, eh? I'm not a huge Tom Hardy fan. It's definitely not my first pick, but oh shit. But you know, whatever. I'm to be really honest with you, I'm not a super. I mean, I love the MCU and I'm excited for D23. I'm not like one of those guys that's like a hardcore like, you know, act like someone who I follow an actor and I just see all their movies. I'm not one of those. Like, I don't really care that much. You know, I can appreciate a good performance, but I can appreciate it from anybody. It doesn't have to be like my favorite actor. You know, most of my favorite actors aren't favorite actors because they're good actors. It's because they're in a funny movie that I love or something, you know? Okay, so I'm going to put this one back on. This is the one that I just... Nope, this is the other arm. There you go. So again, I know that because I cut it at the back, right? So I know that it's going to go on the peg or go on with the peg facing forward. Yeah, my water's just getting too cold. Like it's not hot anymore. Ugh. There we go. Still works though. So yeah, so it's on there now. It works. What else we got here? Okay, we'll do this one too. There we go. And just like that. Just like that. Cool. Back on and we're good to go. And like once this hardens again, like you won't be able to pull that off. You might be able to see it pull away from the joint a little bit, but it's not going anywhere. All right, Quebec Diorama, this is for you. For every peg, yes. So what you're going to do is, again, I work on the inside. Sorry, I don't have a lower arm to show you, but I work on the inside. So this articulates, okay, I know that. I go to the inside, and the elbows are a little bit easier because it's just a small peg. You don't have to go through that much. So ready? There we go. And then you just wiggle her out and you're good. You don't cut it on every peg. You cut it on one side of the peg. If you cut it on every peg, then you don't have a peg to put it back into. I did drop an elbow, and I don't know where it went. Where did you go? Okay, I'll find you after. But yeah, so I'll do the other side too. So again, you just want to watch your fingers. Go. There we go. Come on. There we go. Right? And then all I would do is just heat that up again. And then I'll open it back up and close it on it. I don't know where that elbow went. Couldn't have gone that far, could it? Maybe it did. I just did it with the other cable arm as a test run at work. The hole is hella thick, though. Send me a picture if you think of it. It's not, and we can have a look at it. The hole is hella thick. So, yeah. So there's options. If it's thick, you can take some off. So if you have a Dremel, you can hollow it out a little bit. But yeah, send me a picture and we'll take a look. And then we'll have a look at what arms you're swapping onto it, too. I'm going to try my luck with the metal arm now. Okay, cool. Yeah, let me know. Anonymous dude, do you have a trademark when you work on customs? For example, in comics, Todd Newick is famous for his large hands. Yes, my signature look is sloppy looking eyes because that's not a strong point. No, I don't. Not really, man. Honestly, it depends on what the customer wants or what I'm looking for. Or yeah, sorry, this water's too cold now. But basically, you just heat this back up and you just work it in. You'll be able to. It'll be soft enough to be able to just work it in. But yeah, and that's how you do it. I'm gonna have to put that back together later. But for now, you just go over here, a cup of water, and we'll get rid of this stuff here. Oh, there goes my paper towels. Okay, so we're going to get to this now. So we're going to start by removing all of the... oh, I should have... God damn it. You know what? I'll be right back. I do need to use more water because I need to take those lower arms out too. All right. Oh, there's that elbow. Excellent. Okay, hopefully this water is still hot enough to do what I got to do. It seems like it is. Okay, so we're going to drop these in because I got to take the pegs out of them so I can work with them. And I might as well do this too because why not? And because I'm going to need water when I'm sculpting, let's just steal a little bit of that as well. Ooh, that's really hot. Quebec diorama. I thought it was going to be harder than that. So the annoying part about those new pinless joints is that the joints are actually, you have to take quite a bit off of them with your Dremel to stop the paint rub. Just disconnecting them is easy, but the actual like dremeling, and I'm not really sure what these joints are made of, but they are very resistant to my Dremel tip. The tips that I use on my Dremel, they're very resistant. So I don't know exactly what the issue is, but I struggle to get. They're hard to work with, to be honest with you. But to take them apart, it's that easy. The problem is now without pegs, when you sorry, I noticed it's tilting on me here. There we go. Sorry. So yeah, so with the now, in order to take them apart, you have to permanently damage them. That's the shitty part about this whole situation. Is now that's where we've come to. Is it's the only way to. Oops! It's the only way to take them apart is to like actually like cut them. So that's a disadvantage in my opinion. But all right. So for anybody who's never taken apart a figure before, the peg holes. You can see on the Marvel Legends, there's a small head and a large head on each peg. The large heads always go into the insides of the arms and legs. That's a little tip. So aesthetically, your smaller hole is on the outside because it looks nicer. When you're popping them out, you push it from the small peg out, pull the peg out, and then it comes apart. I'm leaving this intact because I'm keeping it in place because I'm going to be dyeing it. Actually, I'm going to be dyeing it. Oh no, I do need to keep that intact. Okay, never mind. Next one. Oh, ooh, ooh, ooh. So again, small on the outside, large on the inside. If I was putting it back together, I would be pushing it in from the larger side because you can't push that large head through that smaller hole. That's what she said. He said. And yeah, that's pretty much all she wrote. There we go. Let's put this back together. I'm 40 minutes in and I haven't really done anything on mine yet. Okay, this is the... Right. It's hard to say with these ones. I can't tell. Oh, I guess I can tell from the paint. Okay, so this should be a bit softer now, so I should be able to just kind of maneuver it in. Get in. There we go. And again, once that cools down, you're not getting that joint out unless you heat it up again. There we go. There we go. So that's how you do elbows and knees and shoulders. Really, it's all the same. Just leave one peg intact and you good. Okay, moving right along. Let's get this out of here for now. Yeah, whenever you have time. If you need help, if you're good, then that's dope. I'm just offering help if you need it, if you find you need it. So Quebec Diorama says the hardest part of customizing a fig is the prep. I wouldn't say it's the hardest part, but it's definitely the thing that you kind of learn from the most. I'm gonna need more paper towel too. I'm gonna go grab some paper towel. Be right back. Okay. So this stuff, I want to make sure that we're not spilling this anywhere because this could be a mess if I do. Yeah, so like I was saying, the thing with the prep is you kind of learn. So you do a figure and then you see once you get paint on it, like, fuck, where could I have done that? Where could I have made that better? How could I have made that better? And then you try to work on eliminating those points of, like, with paint rub, I kind of just learned by screwing up. And then the next time I was like, okay, I need to fix that. So I would work on fixing it the next time. I'm going to get some gloves for this too. Yeah, so it's one of those things that I like to call it like evolving. Like, I used to be able to put out a lot more figures a year than I do now. And it's not that I don't customize as much. It's that my level of detail on the prep and the painting and everything has gotten longer over the years because it takes longer to do a better job. So, Anonymous Dude says, have you ever experimented with different body types or different body molds? For example, parts from Marvel Legends, WWE, Storm Collectibles. So not a lot. Funny that you bring up WWE. I actually bought this. I've been getting into the Ultimates figures lately. And I actually bought this Triple H Ultimate, even though I don't like this particular look for him, is not like my Triple H. I'm more of a DX Triple H. But I also like the game, but this version of Triple H is more modern-ish, I think. It's not really what I'm digging. So because I'm kind of making a rule where I only want to deal with the Ultimate figures, I'm going to kit bash the DX Army Triple H. He's got like the green and black tights underneath his army pants. I'm going to give him these boots because they have the hinge toe, and I'm going to swap the torso and arms from onto those other legs, so that way I have like an ultimate DX version Triple H. So yeah, that'll be my first time really toying with I have used some parts from a Mattel Elite figure once a long time ago, but I mean, we're going way back. And then like there's bits, like I'll use little bits and stuff. So my Secret Santa, I'm going to be using a Mafex Spider-Man base body as a base, but again, like it's not going to look like Spider-Man on the end. I'm just using it for its articulation because it's got really cool articulation. Kind of using it as a skeleton and then building on top of it. But yeah, the trick about that is like, I know how to work with Marvel Legends. I've been working with them for a long time. So like, for me to break them down and prep them for paint rub and stuff like that, it's because I'm familiar with it and I know it. I can do a good job on it. You know what I mean? Whereas with something that I'm not familiar with, it's hard because I don't want to put out a product that's inferior. Like I don't want the quality to be affected because I'm not familiar with how to prevent paint rub on that particular body, So this is working pretty good. It's coming off relatively smoothly without a big slop show mess, which is nice. It's hard to get them into the little crevices though. Good thing I still have I didn't cut my thumbnails. I hate not having one thumbnail cut because, like, if I have to open a can or something like that, I like to not struggle. That being said, I don't keep them like cokehead long. I just, you know. All right, I'm trying to get everything off, but I don't think it really matters that much because these in particular are going to be painted skin tone, so it doesn't really matter. Cool. That's working pretty good. I'm gonna move this over just a bit so you guys can see better. Yeah, so that's the issue with mixing and trying new. I've had a lot of people who have approached me and had interest in me doing stuff. Like I had somebody reach out to me about doing a bunch of King Arthur stuff for them when I did my King Arthur from the Knights of Justice TV show. But they wanted me to do it on like these crazy articulated bodies, and I was just like, I don't know if I can get that kind of sculpt on those types of bodies, and like I just don't want to charge somebody an arm and a leg for something and then like give them something that I can't really be proud of, So I mostly stick with Legends for that reason. There's enough stuff in the Marvel Legends arsenal of parts that I can do what I need to do without it really being too much of an issue. But yeah, it's I do it once in a while. It's like that. It's like Daredevil. That Daredevil I posted last week. It's exactly like that. I used a V-Toys body. I've never used a V-Toys body before. And, I ended up dyeing it red since the majority of the costume is red, or all of it is red. So I didn't feel super worried about having red bleed through the red. I didn't think it would be an issue. But yeah, I'm glad I did because, there's some points that I just like, there's friction. There's going to be friction. You can't prevent it. There's nothing you can do about it. So, or sorry, apparently there is something you can do about it, but it's not privy to me. I don't know that information. So yeah, yeah. So that's why I stick to Marvel Legends pretty exclusively, like especially for commissions. I don't want to put something out and be unhappy with it. So I try to not use stuff I'm not familiar with. Really. Oh, did I miss a bunch? Sorry, I'm gonna keep going down. I'm gonna catch up. Nick D says, "What did you think about that most recent Age of Apocalypse wave with the Colossus Bath?" I thought it was better than the first one. I'm a big Age of Apocalypse fan. I liked the wave 2 a lot better than wave 1. Yeah, I thought Colossus was who I really wanted as a Build-A-Figure, but I didn't expect to get him. I assumed we were going to get Nemesis. Ooh, is this not coming off as easily? It's not. I have a Q-tip, so maybe a Q-tips would work better. Yeah, but I did like the wave a lot. Colossus was actually one of my favorite figures of last year. He's awesome. It's a great figure. So much like acetone, I'm really hesitant to load it on to the body because I don't want it to like melt the plastic. Again, I am going to put a light coat of paint over this anyway, but love to be able to get majority of it off if I can. I'm sure a cotton swab or something would have probably worked better on this as well. I think I have cotton swab sticks. I don't think I have cotton balls. Yeah, I love that Colossus Bath. It's dope. Do you know somebody in Canada selling head sculpts? Not particularly, because to be honest, I don't buy a lot of them, but I'm sure if you go into the Facebook groups, there's going to be a lot of people that would do it for you. I have a hard time imagining that wouldn't be the case. There's a lot of people that 3D print stuff, right? Cranium Kickers, but he's not in Canada. If you're looking for someone in Canada, I would go to the Facebook groups on Facebook. Yeah, the Facebook groups on Facebook. Come on, get out of here. This is stubborn. I'm not too worried about this stuff up here because I'm going to be covering it in Sculpt, so it's not a huge concern to me. And I would really like to get the majority of this off. I would feel better about it. Come on. All right, what else we got for comments? Let's see. Anonymous Dude says, beautiful figure. Yeah, I think you're talking about Colossus, right? Mayfex Spidey. Yes. Yeah, I can't wait to be able to. I hope that I can pull off what I'm trying to pull off. I hope I'm not biting off more than I can chew. I definitely feel motivated to challenge myself this year. It's been a couple years since I've felt that I could do that. I've just been too busy with too many other things in life. So yeah, I'm excited to. Ooh. Yeah, I'm gonna have to probably paint to get that off. I don't see it coming off. Huh. Maybe that's not the case. Maybe it looks like it might be coming off. If this is coming off, then this is wonderful. Because yeah, I'm gonna try to not put as much paint as I can on the black on the body, so I'd like it to consistently look good from every angle. You know, I don't want to have any spots where there's like blotchy black spots. Cool. Okay, where is that water? Give that a little wipe down with the water, just to make sure that there's no like chemicals slowly eating away at the plastic while I. Not that it would, you know. Okay, I have the spot on the back as well. We'll get a new clip for that. Anonymous Dude says, you're using a Mafex. That's fascinating. Yes, but again, you would never, it's, you know, you won't look at it and be like, oh, that's a Mafex Spidey body. I'm literally just using it for its skeleton. Like its torso has some really good range of motion on it. It has, yeah, it's got a lot going for it. So I'm going to work with that and yeah, it should be fucking cool. I'm gonna overlay it. Like I'm basically just using it to put something on top of. So yeah, it's definitely an involved piece for sure. But I'm excited. I'm excited to try my hand at it because the other project that I'm secretly working on is not super difficult. It's not one of those like really challenging pieces. It's got a few parts that'll be a bit annoying, but I mean, it's no more than just a normal custom. So everything kind of has some shitty parts. There's always a shitty part to every figure. That's what I say. Whether it's prepping or doing. I'm gonna go get my toothbrush and clean this off. I just don't want it to get bad. Hang tight, folks. All right, we're good. So I got, this is my toothbrush that I use to clean shit. As you can see, it's preloaded with soap. There we go. Looks pretty good. Nice and clean. There is a watermark or a serial number on the back of this one. I'm just going to get off real quick. Should come off pretty smooth. All right. Cool. And then anything else? I think that was it, right? Just the pink on the chest and the back, the lower arms, everything else is good. Sweet, I can put this away. So yeah, this works really great. I'm a fan. I will definitely be using that again. I've used it for small little bits here and there. I didn't know if it would leave a big stain when there was like big chunks of it going across the chest and stuff, but yeah, it worked. That worked very well. Nice. Okay, let's see what else we got. I'm definitely behind on comments. Oh yeah. Okay, I'm gonna catch up. Do a quick catch up. Catch up. Marcus E, I've been thinking lately about the Mayfix Scarlet Spider being a good base for a Flash, either Barry Allen or Wally West. So I don't know DC very well, but my first thoughts are that Spider-Man is pretty lanky. When I think of Flash, I don't really think of lanky. But that being said, I have literally zero attachment to Flash. I've never read a book. I have never cared for him as in any type of media. So take that as what you take that however you will. But in my opinion, he seems lanky. Sometimes he even seems lanky for Spider-Man, to be honest. But I love the figure. But yeah. Anonymous Dude says, Marcus, that's really cool. You have a keen eye for body work on another figure, thinking ahead. That's one of the funnest things about customizing is like you see a new part and you're like, what can I use that for? Nick D says, I really didn't like Weapon X from the other one. I wanted it to look cooler than it was. I think if his hair wasn't so insanely wild, I would have liked him better too. But he did leave a lot to be desired. But I do like the base body they use for Wolverine, so at least there's that. Hey, NYC Figure Fanatics here. How you doing, man? Thanks for stopping by. Anonymous Dude said, Joe Rogan said there's always something new to learn about jiu-jitsu. It's infinite. I'm sure that rings true for customizing as well. Yes, absolutely. Like I said, is like doing these easy customs have been so fun because like I can bang them out super quick and like I enjoy it, right? And then it's like it becomes different is like, how can I do this without having any paint rub with doing very minimal prep? So it's like, okay, I'm going to dye these these parts. This is already black. Once I put it all back together, I'll fill in the peg holes on the arms before I dye them. So those are black. I'll just paint over these ones, easy enough. Right. So yeah, it is never ending on how you learn. So, Marcus, he says, okay, so I almost ruined the metal shoulder, stretched it all out, cut a little deeper than I planned, but I think it's salvageable. I just need to heat it back up to shape. Thank you so much, dude. Yes, that's sweet, man. I'm glad that worked. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. I'm glad that it worked for you. Anonymous Dude said, I wanted to further pick your and Nick's brain on Magneto and Xavier. Why do you guys think it's such a badass dynamic? Oh, here we go. Nick says, I've always liked the dichotomy. I don't know what you're saying. Sorry. You're too smart for me. Between Charles being a very good counter to the chaotic Magneto. Magneto always had more of a radicalized view on how mutants needed to be respected and treated. Professor X was always a good opposite to that. Yeah, man. I would agree with that for sure. I think another thing that's cool is I like that Xavier's always thinking about how to make the world a better place from a peaceful side or peaceful perspective, whereas Magneto is always trying to make it a better place in an aggressive, like Like it's like in order to, succeed, they need to move ahead without humanity. And I always thought it was cool that Xavier was always trying to like salvage it, even though in the end, or a lot of times, it would work against them. So yeah, I don't know. I'm a huge Magneto fan. I'm not as big of a. I like Professor Xavier, like obviously because I love the X-Men. But yeah, Magneto is. I really liked his story arc in the Marvel Now series when he started on Cyclops' team and eventually kind of moved away. Cyclops kind of took the role of Magneto in the comics at that point, and Magneto even stepped away from him. So. Anonymous Dude says, yes, Nick Dees, I've heard people compare the relationship to Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. Interesting. I'm not familiar with their relationship, so it's hard for me to speak on that. But okay, so we have stripped this of its paint. We have taken it apart. We are going to do a little bit of sculpting now. So will this fit on here? Yes, of course it will. That's going to go on here, so I don't have to... Again, I'm going to really try to minimize the amount I have to touch these black parts here because I want to keep them as pristine as I can. Oh, that being said, though, we could do the glove cuffs. So we'll do that. I wonder if... well, how about that? It's going to solve all my problems. Even though this is soft, it should still work enough. I'm going to put these on here, so I'm not trying to hold them, by the top here and be really awkward. So I can do the glove cuffs. I'm going to do the glove cuffs too. Might as well. Okay, so glove cuffs, head, fill in the peg holes, fill in the peg holes, fatten up the boots. Let's mix some epoxy. We are on an hour in. Oh, did my camera overheat again? That's disappointing. Okay, guys, before I get started on this, I'm going to have to fix that camera. I've been having issues where my camera just overheats and shuts off. It's very annoying. Okay, let's see here. Okay, I have to reconnect it. Sorry, guys. Oh, battery exhausted. How do you figure? Isn't it charging? Oh, well, good thing I have an extra battery. I have to say, I bought this camera. I'm not super in love with it. I feel like I spent a lot of money on it, but I'm not really familiar with how to use it that well, which is my own problem, really. That's very like me to just be like, oh, this camera's amazing. I'm going to buy it, and I'm going to get great results. Okay, bear with me, guys. Sorry. So you guys have to watch me. Oh, shit. I have to really take this apart. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Oh. Oh, man. Oh, guys, this is frustrating. God damn it. All right. Having some technical difficulties here. Of course. I need pliers. See how small my workspace is here, guys? There we go. I can't open the battery thing because it's screwed into the what's it called? into the holder that it holds onto my clothes. There you go. It doesn't charge very well though. Streaming. Oops. USB invalid during streaming connected. Yeah. Sorry guys. You get to deal with my... Oh, this one has no power either. That's good. Well, looks like my I'm gonna have to figure that out for next week, that HD issue. Gonna have to go back to a webcam here. Just gotta put the bracket back together. As I was unscrewing the camera, it unscrewed from the bracket. There we go. And where is my webcam? Here it is. See, I always come prepared with extra cameras because you never know. You never know. Okay. That. All right. We are going to do that, connect that, and then just check my settings. Integrated webcam. Nah, we want this. Still not horrible quality, but not as good. For sure. All right, let's do this. Sorry, guys. Oh. I'm not muted. There we go. Okay. All right. This Sony thing, we're going to have to figure that out later. But for now, we got work to do. Also, everything being backwards on a camera totally fucks with my head. All right. Sorry, guys. As a one-off quick fix, I know it's not perfect, but it is going to have to work. Great. And now I hear my dog's awake. He's going to have to figure that out on his own. Okay. Okay. Let's get to sculpting. It's going to bug me that it's not the right way. Come on. I can't believe there's still people here watching this shit. What are you guys doing? Okay, there we go. Better. Okay, where am I on comments? Oh, I think I'm right at the bottom. All good, Matthew. Thanks for streaming at all. Yeah, man. Thanks. Thank you for being here. Thank everyone for being here. That's great. Oh, X-Men. I never had attachment to X-Men 2099 outside of the old Toy Biz figures. Nick D says I really think I would want to make a set of 2099 figures if I decide to finally pull the trigger and make some customs of my own. There's a lot of cool designs in X-Men 2099. I really like bloodstone, I think it is. There's a skull fire. Can't remember the rest, but okay, how much of this do I need? A little bit there, a little bit there, a little bit there, maybe a bit more there. Okay. So usually I mix this 50-50, but because this is pretty old, as you can see, it's discolored quite a bit. Because it's old, I'm going to mix a little bit heavier on the softer stuff on the B compound, or the A compound, sorry. Just because it's going to be easier to work with. It'll be okay. Let's see here. I can probably go a bit more. That is... I want it to be more in favor of the soft one, which is this one. All right, so for anybody who doesn't know what this is Abe's Epoxy Sculpt. It is a 2-part epoxy resin. Is it a resin? I don't know. It's like a clay. You mix equal parts together of the two sides, and no, there we go. You mix equal parts together, and then you get like an hour and a bit's worth of table time with it, and then like another maybe 30 minutes for deep sculpting and stuff once it's kind of set. But yeah, it works really good. I like it. Punisher 2099 would be dope too. Hulk too. I was actually talking to NYC Figure Fanatic today, and he mentioned to me, or he showed me some pictures of the Spider-Punk universe, and there's like a bunch of different punk versions of different Marvel characters. Fuck, man, it was so dope. I want to make stuff from it. There's a really cool Ironheart punk. There's this Hulk punk that he showed me. It's pretty cool. I also had someone reach out about making a Superior Iron Man as a commission next year, which is very up my alley and something I would like to do. So I am most likely going to take him up. I told him I'll actually get back to you on that one, because that sounds like something that I would for sure be down with. Okay, so this is almost mixed. Yeah, but it would be dope if we saw some 2099 stuff. I'd be real happy with that. I don't like this camera angle at all. I'm really disappointed about my camera. I need to figure out why that's happening. Oh, shit. Come on. How are we now? There we go. That's better. Okay, so that's pretty good, I think. Okay, cool. Get those little wipe down. Try to get a few uses out of these when I can. I don't like the epoxy to dry up on them, because then the little crumbs get into the next batch that I mix. So. Okay, so we're going to start with the stuff that is important that I get filled in, which is all the peg holes. So I should probably have thought this through a bit more. Where are my alligator clips? Where are my magnets? Where are my metal? Here they are. I don't need that much space, do I? Yeah, I might need that much space. All right. So I think the most of you guys that have been here for a while. have been coming to my stream for a while, so you are familiar with this. This is my magnetic board that I use to hold all my action figure parts while I'm working on them. So I drop a couple magnets on here. This is just sheet metal. There we go. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's good enough. And then these just do this. That goes on there. That goes on here. So that way when I fill them, I don't have to lay them on the floor. They can, go the way they're supposed to. This one, can I put these in here? Yes. Excellent. I assume that will work there. Yep. And then these, I think these can just get that. There we go. Lovely. All right, so got our water. This torso we're done with tonight. We don't need it for anything else right now. Oh, what's that? Okay. Okay, so we're going to start by working on these arms, I guess. So I'm just filling in the peg holes. I think you guys have probably seen me do this before. Marcus said, I'm surprised we never got a Superior Iron Man on Marvel Legends. Maybe it was too late at the time. Yeah, maybe. It was a pretty short run. I think it only lasted, what, 6 months? 8 months, maybe? So, yeah, I really like the Superior Iron Man look. I think it's pretty cool. So, yeah, I'm going to most likely take him up on that offer because I think it would be a lot of fun. And I've always liked that armor, so it's a bonus. It's a bonus when I actually like the project someone brings to me. That's the part where I'm like, yep, you can move to the front of the list. Because I always pick stuff that's enjoyable first. The money's not the important part. This is my favorite tool for doing wrinkles. It's just like a silicone pointer. Anonymous dude says, MIC Figure Fanatic, my bad, saw you earlier, wanted to say hello. I don't know if he's still here, but we were chatting this morning about it, so. Oh, that's wicked smart. Marcus. Oh, thanks, man. I'm assuming you're talking about my magnetic board. I can't remember where I saw it. I definitely saw some form of it. I've since, made it my own, but yeah. Yeah, I love it. It works really well. So the idea of using this is I'm softening the edges of all the epoxy I just put on. So that way, when I paint it, you don't see like a blob of epoxy on there. The idea is that you blend it into what's already there. I like to use a paintbrush dipped in rubbing alcohol. But unfortunately, so the rubbing alcohol really, really makes a mess on the figure, and it's fine when you're going to paint it because you don't see it, but when you're relying on that when you're relying on the black paint or whatever to come through from the original base figure, you don't really want to make it all messy with like stain it with that rubbing alcohol. So I'm going to just use water because when you use water, it doesn't make that stain. It's not a stain. It's just like it's a residue. And again, you see it, but you don't you don't feel it. Like it doesn't leave like a grit or anything on it. It's not like that. Awesome. Okay. Cool. There we go. That's one done. Nick Dees says, this is probably a dumb question, but how hard of a time do you have making sure the sculpted pieces you make are symmetrical? Again, it's one of those things that you learn with time. There's been so many projects that I've done where that was not the case. It just happens sometimes, you know. Even when you think you have it, it's easy to like paint. It's especially difficult when it's not painted, because the paint where it ties it all together can usually show you where you're the most fucked up. So yeah, it's not easy, man. It's practice, and it's, I guess you just start looking for certain things. I use the base bodies as like a measurement sometimes, so it's like, like if it goes to, say I'm sculpting something on, what's happening? Say I'm sculpting something on like the outside of the rib cage, right? Like, I try to keep in mind like how flush is it with the pectoral line, because the pectoral line runs right across straight. So, is there like, how big a gap is it between there and there? I try not to look at it like straight on, because my eyes always fuck with me. I try to like use points on the figure as reference and say like, okay, so it's like, a quarter of an inch from the edge of this, and then I'll use that ab crunch as like my line. So it's like, I'm going to go straight. That's my line. So yeah, I would say that that's probably how I do it. But a lot of it is just like, some people just like have the eye and some people don't, like, and so I naturally don't have the eye. It was something I had to like build over time. So yeah, so you learn by mistake, really. I did ultimately get one of those digital ruler things that has like the little pincher piece on the end, and you can like, measure how far, and it'll digitally say like, this is 3 millimeters or whatever. So yeah, I did eventually get one of those, and it works good, but like sometimes it's just annoying to deal with. So, but I do use it because I know it's in my best interest. So. Xavier, my watch has stopped. Cyclops, Professor, I don't understand. Xavier, it's been magnetized. If you had a digital watch, it wouldn't have that problem. Anonymous dude, is there a custom that you're particularly proud of? Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a couple. So, I think I've said this when Morning Wolf was on, but like, I generally speaking, don't love a lot of the work that I do. I'm my own worst critic. And yeah, I know that there's parts that work and look great, but I always just see the flaws. But there are a couple figures that, like, I'm not going to say they weren't flawless. I don't think I've ever made something that I stood back and was like, this is perfect. But there's definitely a few that I'm proud of. I think Jeff, which is a character from Scud the Disposable Assassin, is insane. And it was one of those figures that was on a figure swap list. That was the figure that people put on, the character that people put on, thinking no one would ever make this. And then I made it. And it was my first foray into like not doing X-Men figures. So it was very challenging, and I was super proud of the final product. I was very proud of myself, even though I wanted to do more. Like, I wanted to do swappable. I wanted to do swappable arms, but I didn't have time. I ran out of time. So yeah, I'm super proud of Jeff. The Street Shark Blades or Streaks is another one that I was really, really proud of. again, it was one of those ones where I was on a tight time frame, down to the wire, and I just made it work, and I was really happy with how it turned out. So yeah, I would say that's another one. Even something simple like my Jim Lee Sabretooth. I'm really, really happy with Sabretooth. He came out so clean. His colors popped. His lines were crisp. The face painting was some of my better. Yeah, I was pretty damn happy with. I was pretty damn happy with him. So I would say those are probably some of my stronger ones that stand out. There are pieces of newer projects that I'm really proud of. Like I really like my animated series Mandarin that I made for Resilient Customs. Yeah, that was a really fun project to work on. I had a blast. Okay, do these now. What have you been watching on WWE Network? I actually am not watching WWE Network. I have a friend who hooked me up with a bunch of pay-per-views. So yeah, I just have like a bunch of older ones. I think it started. I've been watching. I started on 98. I think is the first year that is available to me. So I watched in the last few days. I've watched Royal Rumble. I've watched WrestleMania 14. I watched SummerSlam 98. And then I watched, I think, Rock Bottom, I think it was, which is like one of the In Your House events. So yeah, I'm suddenly really into wrestling again. I'm not into new wrestling. I just am super nostalgic on some of the old stuff. And I also can't believe some of that shit was on television. It's pretty fucking crazy, or even pay-per-view. But like, man, they're pretty fucking ballsy. Like some of the shit, it's like, especially even like a lot of the demoralizing like women and stuff. I'm just like, holy shit balls, man. That's fucking, you got guys. It's like a match where if Goldust loses, he has to strip, but if Jeff Jarrett loses, then like Sable has to strip or something. It's like, whoa, how's that fair? But yeah, it's definitely interesting, that's for sure. It's yeah, it's been fun to watch though, honestly, like regardless of how it wouldn't fly today, it is. I am really enjoying it, so yeah, it's been enjoyable. And like it's funny because like at work, I'm on the computer all day, so a lot of times I just put on a podcast or whatever. So the last couple of days I've been just kind of throwing that on the background on my phone. It's just like, it's a small screen, right? So I just listen to it, and if something cool happens, I can kind of look down and watch or whatever. But so yeah, so when I say I'm watching, I'm not really watching per se. It's just kind of on while I work. And I've been working on my shelves a lot too. For anybody who's been following along, I am working on my very last shelf to complete. This weekend, I'll be posting the only shelf that I've done that I'm truly, truly unhappy with, mostly because there's just not enough figures on it yet. But yeah, it's my second miscellaneous X-Men shelf, and it shares a space with Street Fighter. I was actually working on it on WIP Wednesday Live a few weeks ago, or Shelf Shuffle rather. And yeah, it's not that I'm not happy with the poses. There's not enough figures in it to fill it out. So there's a lot of gaps compared to my other shelves, which is frustrating. So yeah, but I'm going to show that one this weekend. And then I did my NECA Movie Turtles / Toon Turtle Heroes next to them. And on that one, I left a big, huge gap in the middle because looks like that third-party Leatherhead Killer Croc figure is starting to trickle out. I saw Isaac Wong on Instagram had one. So yeah, and I bought him as a movie Leatherhead, so I'm going to use him as a movie Leatherhead. So I left a big old space in the middle for him because I don't want to try to fit something that big into the display after the fact, you know. Try to navigate away from that as much as I can. But yeah, I'm excited. I saw those pictures of it and it looks really cool. That I think it's called like Fu-Ray or something like that. It's looks like a crocodile with a hat and a jacket on, and it's really pretty damn nice, to be honest. I'm gonna thin out some of that epoxy. I went a little too heavy there. Don't need it all. Oh, Nick Dees says that Arsenal one though. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, I was really happy with him too. He looked pretty good. That was a commission, that another one that like somebody reached out a long time ago when I wasn't taking commissions, and I said, look, one day I'm going to get to you and I'm just going to reach out and hope that you can do it because I would love to make this figure. And I ended up having to take a little bit of a bite on the I kind of took a hit on the price a little bit. I undercharged for what I was doing on it, but I just really wanted to make it. So it's the same with Mandarin. When I did Mandarin for Resilient, I mean, Resilient's a friend, so you know, but I only charged him like 25% of what I normally charge people, but it was just because I always wanted to make an animated Mandarin. So it was one of those things that was like on my list of wants to make, but don't really have a place for it. Although now that I'm collecting Marvel villains, like at the time when we talked about doing that for him, I wasn't. You know, now I actually do have a home for it. So, but yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you can see I'm just trying to blend these edges a bit more. My epoxy sculpt is getting old, so it doesn't have as long of a time to work with where it's like super soft. I find when it's freshly mixed is when it's the easiest to blend. So yeah, but it seems like that initial 20 minutes is disappearing pretty quickly on me here because it's getting increasingly more difficult to work with. Get away from there. Fury Toys, that's what it is. Is making a wolf human bounty hunter. Yes, I saw that. And then it comes with like a swappable rest of the body. So like if you don't want him in his bounty hunter gear, he can just be this crazy wolf man. It's pretty cool. I'm going to skip that one because I don't really have a place for something like that. Like I said, this Leatherhead is being purchased as intentionally as a movie Leatherhead stand-in on my movie shelf. You know, I always wanted to have like Bebop and Rocksteady in those old movies, so getting something like that looks just like it's meant to be Leatherhead in a movie style format, I'm all for. So brushing this with the water basically just really softens the edges is what it does. There we go. And again, I'm not super concerned, you know, as long as it doesn't leave the big white residue like it does with the rubbing alcohol, which it shouldn't with the water, then this is going to mostly look good. And then I'll just put a little bit of black paint to cover those peg holes and we'll be good to go. Anonymous dude, question. Marcus E touched on it, but what does a customizer eye see when he sees new figures come out? So for me, I'm always looking for things that have good reuse. So a new base body is always exciting. Vulcan was exciting at first. Once I got him in hand, I was like, oh, this is a bit too big to be a replacement for the Bucky cap, which was a bummer. But still a cool body nonetheless. I haven't used it yet, but yeah, like, so I'll give you an example. Like a few years back when they showed that Venom Pool Build-A-Figure wave with all those symbiotic characters. There was like a symbiote Miles and a Gwen. So when that Gwen came out and I saw her fingers, she had the pointy, symbiote fingers, like the pointy ones, but female. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, I'm making a black cat with those, because those are like perfect for black cat. They're, the black cat that we got, the thing I hate the most about her are her hands. She doesn't have anything that's expressive. She has a weapon holding hand, which I like to call a hand job hand. And she has this like weird claw that like comes out like that, like swivels like this way instead of up and down, or in and out instead of up and down. And it's just like, what the fuck is this thing? So yeah, so I remember when I saw those claws, I was like, okay, I'm making a black cat now. Again, I think that was one of my supposed to be easy customs, which ultimately ended up not turning into an easy custom. I ended up kit bashing and doing a full paint job on her. But yeah. So yeah, that was one example of where I saw a piece and I was like, all right, that's going to be made into that for sure. Even things like, I got the Peggy Carter and Captain America World War One or World War Two, whatever, figure from Amazon, the exclusive. And when I got it, I was like, I'm going to use these arms on Captain America for my morph. I was putting together a morph custom that I inevitably never did. I did do one morph custom back in the day, but this was the second one I was working on. And once I saw the arms that seemed like a perfect fit for like a bomber jacket that was like not as thick as like Scott, or kind of like a bit skinnier, right? Because I didn't really want morph to be built super big. So yeah, so it's stuff like that where you'll see it and you know that you're like, oh, that's getting used. And what I usually do in a lot of those cases is I will buy multiples when it comes out at retail. I'll pre-order them because I don't really care if I have to wait. And then if I don't use it, eventually I'll still have it, so I just sell it. Like I don't break it down until I actually need to use it. But as like an example is like I bought an extra 20th anniversary Toad because I want to use it for for skin when I do my Generation X team. So yeah, it's got the wrinkles on the legs, so it's kind of like looks like the part. But the problem is he's a little short, so I'm gonna have to extend the legs a little bit. Maybe, I don't know. He has short legs, so I have to consider that. I have to look into Skin's height. I thought he was, closer to 6 foot. So if that is the case, then those short toed legs will work, but I'll have to do a little bit of work to them to make them work. So okay, so starting just by getting those edges all blended in as best as I can with my hand, and then I'll switch to my trusty little smoother outer thing. I'm gonna move to a bigger size one though, because this one. Marcus E says, do you also use alcohol when working with clay? Yeah, so I don't really work with clay, but when I'm working with this epoxy, yes, when I'm not worried about maintaining that body color, like I said, like if I use rubbing alcohol on it, it's going to leave a residue basically that I'm going to then have to deal with. And because I want to maintain this black body as much as I can, I don't want to make any unnecessary messes, especially with black. Black really, really shows blemishes because it's so dark and pure colored, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, it really, really shows blemishes. So I don't want to add any extra blemishes if I don't have to. Using water
prevents it a lot. Like you still get a little bit, but using rubbing alcohol is basically just like a big fucking mess. But it works. Like it smooths things out way better. It it is useful for what I'm using it for, but it just leaves a mark. So yeah. So I'm not using it in this instance. But if you're wanting to smooth and you're not too worried about it, if you're going to have to paint over it anyways, then yes, I definitely recommend rubbing alcohol. It smooths edges out way, way better than water, way easier. It's like a cheat method to blending with water. Makes it way, way, way easier. I find anyway. Okay. Not the hand job hand. I know, right? Do you think the Vulture Buck's good? It's not one of my favorites. That is a Pizza Spidey body. It depends which Vulture you're talking about. If you're talking about the classic one from the Build-A-Figure wave, I can't remember which wave it was, but that one is built on a Pizza Spidey body. If you're talking about the Ultimate Vulture from the Ultimate Spider-Man 2-pack from a few years ago, that one is built on Pizza Spidey limbs, but it's a new torso, and it also has a new or only one-time used lower arm pieces, which were like armored with little spikes on them. So yeah, if you're talking about the Build-A-Figure, like the more classic-looking Vulture, then that is on the Pizza Spidey body, and it's outdated, to be honest, at this point. I think it serves its purpose for certain characters, but they're few and far between. So yeah, I think it's fine that they have it in the arsenal, but I don't want to see them overuse it. And I don't find that they do overuse that one too much. I still feel like they lean on that Bucky cap a bit too much. But yeah, overall, the Pizza Spidey body, I don't totally hate it. I think it works for a very specific look, very specific type of characters. But as a whole, I'm not a huge fan of it. It doesn't really do it for me. Okay, got one more thing to blend, and then we're going to get on those boots before this hardens up too much. No, honest, dude. Wow, so a new body part can lead to a whole idea for a whole character. Oh, definitely, man. There's lots. I'm trying to think of better ones where you get like a really obvious one. But nothing's really coming to me. Okay, so I'm going to switch over to rubbing alcohol now, because this stuff I don't care if I leave for residue. I'm going to be fully repainting the head anyway. So I got my rubbing alcohol. There we go. And all I'm doing on this one is I removed the hair from this. So I'm just filling in the head so I have like a clean, smooth, bald head to put hair onto. And I'm just doing this because it's easier than trying to make sure that I cover every little bit I need to with hair, because then I can't really, there's no flexibility. I always start by smoothing out if I take a piece, like a hair piece off, I smooth out the head, so that way it's a good blank starting point to sculpt hair onto. Oh, Quebec Diorama says the Vulcan body. I haven't worked with it yet. I don't, like I said earlier, I don't love working with pinless stuff, to be really honest. I do find it challenging to prep well and get it to the point where the paint rub issue is resolved. I think size-wise it's cool. Like, to be honest with you, now that it's available, I probably will never use a Reaper body again. I feel like it's a good replacement for the Grim Reaper body, but I don't think it's a good replacement for the Bucky cap. So yeah, I think it's good to get rid of some of those older, but I've never really been a huge fan of the Grim Reaper body. I find it's got like this like bloated kind of torso that I don't love. But yeah, I haven't worked with it yet, to be honest. If I do, I was talking to somebody about maybe doing an avalanche figure, and I think an avalanche figure on that Vulcan body would be great. I think size wise it works perfectly. So yeah, but I'm looking forward to working with it. I hope I get a chance to it, or I hope I have a reason to sooner than later. I jump at the chance at working with new parts, so it's always fun to rip something apart and see what we can do with it. What blows Matthew away personally when he sees a top-notch custom? I think it kind of depends what blows me away about it. So sometimes there are people who are just super, super smart with the parts they use. So I always think of my friend New Collector Customs. He is one who, like, he has a really good eye for parts and how to use them. When he sees them, he's like, oh, I'm going to use that for this, as we were kind of talking about earlier. So yeah, so like I think that is always like, sometimes I see something and I'm like, why the fuck didn't I think of that? That's amazing. So yeah, there's that, but I mean, there's also people who are just like fantastic sculptors. Sometimes the sculpt detail work is just crazy. I think of Joe Ward, Captain Snink, Jonan the Barbarian. Now he goes by his old Instagram of Captain Snink got hijacked or whatever, but yeah, he's one who, like, he gets a lot of detail in his sculpt, and like that always impresses me when you get someone who can really do that. A hair, when you get those really cool woven hair we were kind of talking about earlier, like the Century figure has, the Mike Perez, Christina Conan style hair, like that impresses me. When I see, beautiful faces painted onto these Marvel Legends, like, it's not a strong point of mine. I'm not super strong with making those female faces in particular beautiful. And then I look at the ones that Christina does, that Morning Wolf does, that Pim Particles does, and I'm just like, man, those are fucking so pretty. Like, I want to kiss them. But yeah, it's those are the kind of things that generally impress me. Again, like, paint popping. I like bright colors. I like, realism when it's necessary. JMC Customs, I think I always usually say it wrong. It's his initials, but he does a lot of just head. He doesn't do customs. He just does heads painting. And like, honestly, there's work that he does that, like, it blows my skull away. Like, I look at it and I'm just like, what am I looking at? Like, is this real or is this a custom? Like, it's just so fucking crazily impressive. Our community is loaded with it. There's so many talented people who are open to sharing. It's awesome. Just got to ask the right people. Oh, what did I do? Marcus E says Avalanche would be dope. I want to see how they could do a Blob or Destiny with the new Avengers X-Men Eternals cover crossover. I'm not familiar with their looks in that, but I would welcome a new Blob. The Blob we have is, in my opinion, not that great. And I would welcome a Destiny as well. She's definitely one who's missing on my list. So of characters I would like to have. Okay, so these are going to get tricky because this epoxy is setting way quicker than I'd like it to be. I don't need these boots to be super thick, but they do need some oomph to them. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to go around and lightly press this in for now. I'll blend it in a second, but the idea is I'm just going to build up that boot top a little bit. I may end up having to do another layer once. It'll be too hard to put it onto the leg while it's still drying, like while it's still soft. But I'm just going to keep going around and just lightly, not lightly, I guess, but pressing it to do I have a little chunk of something in there? What is that? Yeah, so it looks like I'm making a cuff. I'm not making a cuff. I'm gonna blend it in a minute here, but right now I'm just trying to get it in place without it moving too much on me. Once it starts getting a little tougher to work with, it doesn't adhere as well. And what'll happen is you get some moisture on it and all of a sudden it just lets go. And now you're trying to like get this half hanging on sculpt to blend in and it's just not working. So yeah, see like this here. I might have to actually like pull that part off and All right, so I'm gonna give that a quick cut. Anonymous dude says, if you had the tools to make figures totally from scratch, what's the first figure you would make? Man, you got good questions, dude. If I could do anything from scratch, what is something that I've always said I'll do when the parts come? Well, I mean, the thing is we're so fortunate with the Marvel Legends that we have, the bodies that we have. You could make a lot of like, you know, there's nothing that I really necessarily would want per se, but there are a lot of things I think that could be done. You know, I think of things like Absolute Carnage. Then I saw that DC Click and Collect figure from the other day. I don't remember what it's called, but it kind of looked like it had the right body for it, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, but I mean, for my own personal collection, a lot of the stuff I'm missing is stuff that is like easy wins for Hasbro if they just did it. You know, I know they can't just make everything. I get that for sure, but most of the stuff I want is not difficult. It's a paint job and a new head away from being, you know, what I need it to be, basically. I'm trying to think because that's a great question. I had somebody reach out to me the other day and ask me if I make figures from scratch, and I said no. And he sent me a picture. It's like a digital render of this like Hulk figure that he had pieced together, I think, or he found somewhere, maybe, I'm not sure. And it was fucking really, really nice. It had some interesting proportions. Oh, okay, so here's a good one. Actually, I did think of one. So there's one figure that I've always seen on many Secret Santa lists, as especially now that I'm helping distribute lists and stuff, I'm seeing other people's lists. And that is Armor from X-Men. She has like this like bubble armor around her, and it's just like you have to be able to see through it and see the base body underneath, and then, you know, ideally be able to take her out of her armor, which I don't know if that's really possible or not, but yeah, if I had the abilities to kind of build from scratch, I think that would be a cool one to do. I just never would know how to approach it, really, but I probably wouldn't know how to approach it from that standpoint either, to be honest, but, you know, I still think it would be cool. Yeah, so I'd say maybe Armor. That's probably a good one. Or, like, I think of, like, Trevor Fitzroy and his, like, crystal armor from, like, the old Toy Biz figures. That would probably be pretty cool, too. But I don't know how, you know, I don't know how to approach that as a customizer. I don't know if I would know how to approach that if I could just build from scratch either. But okay, so this is what I've ended with. This is where I started. So I don't know if you can tell or not, but I did widen it out a little bit, and that's probably what I'm going to be aiming to achieve on this other boot. I will probably have to sand that really well as well. I think I got a good blend in on the base here, but I'm approaching that 2-hour mark. I'm almost there. Before I would really love to do that Bondic pen on the torso before I stop. So I may skip the glove cuffs tonight, and especially because this is getting pretty tough to work with. Marcus, this is why I wish I had molecule reality manipulation powers, make my own figures from thin air. Oh, dude, imagine what you could make. You have a dope collection. Anonymous, dude, am I not getting it? It's not about making figures from scratch. It's the game and art of putting parts together to make something new. There's definitely that. Like, I would definitely say that one of my favorite parts about customizing is just putting shit together and seeing if it works. Even this Havok figure, like, it kind of started as me just toying with parts and seeing how things were fitting, and then I was like, oh man, that would actually work really well. I was playing with sleeved arms to see how they would fit onto different body parts and different torsos and stuff like that. So like I was saying, I started with that cannonball one, and then I was like, I don't like how it fits the shoulder peg. The shoulder pegs were different size, and it was like protruding out, and I'm like, how do I fix that? I don't know if I can fix that. So then I tried some different arms. I tried the multiple man ones, and I tried the X-Man ones, and the X-Men ones worked really well. So yeah, there we go. Don't start coming off on me here. Okay, I'm gonna have to cut some of this off. I'm a little too heavy again. But yeah, a lot of it is just breaking things apart and just kit bashing. I'm actually going to eventually do a video on kit bashing too, because it's just like, it's fun. Even for non-customizers, it's fun, because once you know how to take them apart and piece them back together, like it can be a lot of fun. You can start toying around with different body types. You might cut a silhouette that you really like, and you're like, oh man, then it inspires you to do something different and try something new. I remember when the Spider-Man UK body came out, and I was like, oh man, that's such a better body for Cyclops. I hated Cyclops on the Bucky cap. I know why they did it at the time, but like, I always thought that the Spider-Man UK body was such a better choice for it, and it came out shortly after Cyclops did, so could have been used there. But now I think we'll see Cyclops get done on the Vulcan body. I wouldn't be surprised, especially now that we have the sculpted straps on the morph figure that we're getting. I would not be surprised if we got a bunch of training attire X-Men all done in that cool, like, Jim Lee style, early 90s yellow and blue. It'd be pretty cool. I'd be a fan of that. That'd be another team that I would probably collect, even though I don't want to. But you could do like all the girls in like in a single pack, like you did with Danny Moonstar. Just one body, multiple heads. You give the trench coat for Jubilee. It'd be cool. You could do a Jubilee, Psylocke, Storm. I think those are the three ladies on the team on that time. You could do Gambit. You couldn't do Wolverine, would have to be on his own, but that would be fine. But you could do like Cyclops, Gambit. Again, their bodies are different, but you could do swappable. I don't know. Maybe you couldn't do it with the guys, but you could definitely do it with the girls. Like Jubilee's technically smaller than Psylocke and Storm, but cool. It's looking pretty good. I'm gonna try to blend that in there. There we go. And then just using that rubbing alcohol again and just brushing it. That helps soften the edges. There we go. I think that will be good enough. Let me just try to look at it straight on and see. Again, I try not to focus too much on the straight on stuff, but yeah, that looks like it's going to work better. I think that's good. I see some spots that are just a little bit that I should try to blend better. I feel like if I can visibly see it, then it needs to be done better. It's this epoxy. It's setting too quickly. What time do we got? Just under 2. I think I'm going to still try to do those armbands. This is going to be a very quick custom. So yeah, so the idea is I didn't have to prep anything, so I saved myself a bunch of time. So prep nowadays on a full figure prep, say a figure with like 2 sets or 3 sets of hands, prep probably takes me 6 to 7 hours. Probably takes me quite a bit of time. So yeah. Nick D says, I'd love to see Spike from the X-Men Evolution. I was never an X-Men Evolution fan. I'm not pretty. I think I know who Spike is. Isn't he one of the not Marauders? Yeah, is it Marauders? It's not the Marauders. Who are the people that live under the Murlocs? Murlocs. I think that was them. Is that who that is? And Honesty said, what's awesome is you guys are doing. Oh, what's awesome is what you guys are doing matters. Companies have admitted they see customs and it inspires new toys. Yeah, well, I think that again, I think a big part of that is just like, we're customizers, but we're customizers because something's missing from our collection, right? So we're usually inspired by our collections to do what we do. And yeah, I think it's great that companies are watching and paying attention. I think they can learn as much from us as we can learn from them. So, and I think I do think there's certain things that Hasbro have done that have, like I feel like Hasbro gets shit on a lot. And while I won't deny that currently I am a little frustrated with Hasbro, I just bought a Toad figure that came with 2 right arms. And I'm just like, I paid fucking $50 Canadian for this thing, and I fucking can't get something without a quality issue. I know that there's a lot of people blaming the quality issues on the boxes without the windows, which I think is silly. It doesn't really make sense. That being said, I think switching to those boxes, they should be doing a better. Like, it seems like we're getting a lot of quality control issues right now, more than we normally do. And I feel like switching to those boxes, they should have really been putting maybe some of that saved money from the plastic into better QC, especially to get this off the ground, knowing that there were going to be so many hard critics about it. I don't love the windowless boxes, but I also, it's not a game changer for me. I'm not an in-box collector ever. I don't buy figures in store, generally speaking. So, getting a figure with a defect, whether I'm seeing it or not, from an online store, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, I just don't like the looks of them personally. They kind of take away some of the experience. Again, nostalgia is a motherfucker, right? So, I'm nostalgic as fuck for opening a figure, going and looking at toys and seeing what's out there, and yeah. So I don't know. I don't love them. It's not my preference for sure. But again, like, it's not enough to make me say I'm not buying these. But I mean, if the quality control issues continue to be a problem, I'm already stepping away slightly, not entirely, like I still buy what I want, but like, where I used to buy a whole wave and not think twice about it, now I'm just like, no, oh wait, it's like Randall, Jimmy Woo or whatever from the new Disney Plus wave that's coming out, right? The Khonshu Build-A-Figure wave that we recently got. Like, I want Jimmy Woo, but I know he's going to peg warm. So I'm just like, I'll wait until he's cheap and then I'll get him. And then if I don't get him, then I don't get him. It's like not the end of the world. But I'm just at that point now where I don't I'm not spending that kind of money for something that I know I'll be able to get cheaper down the road. It's like even that Howard the Duck, right? It's like I've been wanting a Howard the Duck figure, and then we finally get one, and it's like a statue with movable arms, no extra hands, no alternate head. Here in Canada, it's going to be $40. Well, I'm sorry, but I'm not paying $40 for a half statue that doesn't do anything with no accessories. Like, those are the kind of things where I see and I'm like, that's fucking. It's not lazy. It's just unfortunate that they'll take advantage of the people like that. And I know I don't blame like the Hasbro team. I don't blame like Dan and Ryan and them. I'm sure they fight to correct a lot of that kind of stuff, right? I think it's well above them, but still, as a fan, it's pretty frustrating. So I'm gonna let that just chill for a few minutes. So these are gonna be wristbands for his gloves, but we're gonna let that hang for a minute. We're done with these pieces, so I'm gonna move them out of the way. And where's my water? I'm gonna just give my little hands a rinse here. You know what maybe I'll do next week, Marcus, is maybe next week we'll do some kit bashing live, maybe, if I don't have another project I can share at that point. Marcus says, yes, I'd love to see a kit bashing video. So yeah, maybe next week we'll play with that a bit. Marcus, do you ever go back to a custom and add something to it over time? Very, very rarely. Unfortunately, one of my weaknesses I find is by the time I finish a project, I'm usually ready to be done with it. So what usually happens is I get to a point where I finish and I'm like, yeah, that's good enough. And then like I could like literally break it and I'm like, yeah, whatever. When it's on my own shelf anyways. But so yeah, not very often. Anonymous dude, would you consider doing a customizing panel show in the vein of Toy Migos but focused on customizing? Yeah, I would. Yeah. So actually, next week I plan on having another customizer join me. I don't know for sure that we're going to be working on figures. Actually, yeah. So next week won't be a kit bashing video, but we'll do one in the very soon. I'll need stuff to fill weeks because I can't show a lot of the stuff I'm working on. Next week I'm going to have my buddy Pim Particles on. We're going to probably chat and maybe do a little bit of customizing. I'm hopeful that I'd love to be able to customize. I just don't know if he is set up to, and he's super busy with work, and he doesn't even have a dedicated workspace right now. So yeah, he's going to be joining me next week, which I'm pretty excited about. Should be a good show. We've been friends for a long time. We've never done a video chat together, so it should be fun. I'm looking forward to it. So if you're around next week, Pim Particles. If you're not familiar with him, check him out on Instagram at Pim Particles, one word. He's awesome. I have quite a few figures from him, and he's a really good customizer. Nick says he's Storm's nephew. I think he's talking about Spike from X-Men Evolution. That's pretty cool. I'm pretty sure I know who it is. I think if I've seen a picture, I would know who it is. Marcus E says, that's my feelings with Lightning Collection. The amount of doable butterfly shoulders and limbs is ridiculous. Yeah. I love the Lightning Collection for that. It's like they said they're going to give us something, and then they actually do. It's like even with characters where it doesn't make sense. Like someone like Pudgy Pig probably doesn't require double jointed knees, but they gave us double jointed knees anyways because they're like, hey, we told you guys we were going to give you this. So okay, before I finish up those arm straps, let's play with this Bondic pen a little bit. Let's move this out of the way. I can go there. Okay, so what we're going to be doing with this is my UV light. Pew, pew. This is my resin pen. And I'm going to be filling in the insides of these rings to build them up, so that way the arms aren't so flappy on them when I put them on. Let's see what we got here. I'm going to get through these last couple these comments. Anonymous dude says, hopefully they can replace those for you guys. I respect the Marvel Legends team for their direct involvement in the community. Watching Boog with Ryan, Dan, and Dwight, it's amazing. I agree. I wish everybody was like them. I'm not saying that they're perfect, but I love that they are I love their communication. I love that when a big question gets out, they answer it to everybody and get it out through the proper channels. I love that they lean on the toy community so much and the influencers within the toy community. I think that's really awesome. Yeah, I have nothing but good things to say about Ryan, Dan, and Dwight. They do an amazing job. So, and I think they get shit on too much. I think their prices are out to lunch now. Sorry, but I know that's not their fault. But yeah. I'm interested to see if anyone makes any mod custom videos to make legs for that Howard the Duck. Yeah. The thing is that I don't know. There will be people I'm sure that do. I mean, and there's parts that you could use. You could use parts from NECA's Ace Duck if you wanted to. All right. So what I'm doing right now, guys, is I'm just going around the inside of this ring with this Bondic pen, putting in a thin layer of resin. There we go. And then I just cure it right on the spot. And if my water was hot enough, I would test the shoulders in here to see if they would just pop in, but I can't. So for now, I will just build it up. I'll do another coat, and then tomorrow I'll sand down whatever I need to make it fit. That's usually what happens. But I did this for Fitzroy, and it worked really well. So there we go. Nice, cool. And then yeah, I'll just do it again. So I kind of go around both sides, and then I just run it around it inside of it. Mm-hmm. There we go. Mm-hmm. Okay, we're over the 2-hour mark, so I'm probably going to go a little bit longer. I think this might be my longest episode. I'm excited for She-Hulk tonight. I know a lot of people are hating on it, but I want to see who we get as a cameo tonight. I hope it's Daredevil or Matt. I mean, I'd prefer Daredevil, but I'll take Matt if that's all we got. Cool. That's great. Marcus says, I might need to check this pen out. Been seeing some really cool stuff with UV resin, and this looks cool to have. Yeah, it's awesome. I've used it for like attaching things, small little things. I've used it for filling peg holes because it's sandable too, right? So if you use it to fill in a peg hole, you can sand the edges smooth once you get there, like once you cure it. So it's cool, man. It works really good. I like it. And, you know, it's not expensive. I think I paid like $20 for mine, Canadian. So yours would probably be about, $15 American, probably. Something like that. I just got mine off Amazon. But you could probably buy them at like hardware stores. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe not. They're awesome, though. They're really, really cool. You can do like, suit details. Like say you wanted to texture a suit and you wanted to do tiny little dots. You could do dots. If you needed to do like buttons on a shirt, you could do buttons on a shirt. Piercings. You could probably do little ear piercings and stuff with it if you wanted. I'm not going to go too crazy with these because it's not super, super loose. So I think it probably just needs just a little bit of thickening. Very cool. Cool. That's great. All right. So I'm going to just clean that up. Put that back. And there you go. Bondic pen. Definitely worth the $20, in my opinion. Marcus says, $20? That's half of a Marvel Legends. How preposterous. All right, guys, to finish this up, let's trim these glove cuffs. So this is another one that here's a little trick I use to try to keep things even here. I still don't get it right all the time, though. So I make my cut and like kind of eyeball where it needs to be versus the edge. So like, you know, how thick it needs to be. And then I just roll my knife. So I put it in place and I just roll it instead of lifting it and trying to cut it. And it kind of helps keep it even. So the good thing about a glove cuff is you want it to be mostly even, but if it's a little bit out of whack, it's not the end of the world. Because you know, a glove cuff could come slightly loose and, you know, not fit exactly as you expect it to. And then, actually, let's trim both first. So, again, by this point, I'm pretty good at just kind of eyeballing these, but at one point, I would measure these. But now I don't really feel the need to. How about that? I have touched the bald head a few times here, but I'm not super worried about it because I'm going to cover it all up with hair anyway. So a couple fingerprints in it's not going to hurt anybody. Okay. That one is a little bit thinner, so I'm going to cut this one just a bit thinner as well. Not on the whole side. There's one side in particular that looks a bit too thick. There we go. I have this guy. Okay, cool. That looks pretty good. Okay, I'm gonna look that pen up now. Yeah, there you go. Oh, see, there you go. Marcus says, "Oh, they're really cheap. First few results were $9 to $13." Yeah, see, there you go. I didn't think it would be too bad. This is another tool I like to use when I'm doing fabric wrinkles. Just this simple needle. Dip it in some rubbing alcohol. Mm-hmm. So when you're using this little needle thing, you can make the lines a little bit too pronounced, and that rubbing alcohol is really helpful with that. When you do go a little too heavy, that rubbing alcohol really softens your edges, so it doesn't make them look quite as dramatic as they look when you initially put them in. So if you ever are sculpting something and you find your details are just very, very bold, you really want to soften them up a little bit, a paintbrush full of rubbing alcohol will help with that. It'll really knock the detail out of it, which is what I will do. So what I'm doing now is I'm going in with that thicker detailing silicone sculpting tool. Okay, so do that. And we'll see how that looks here. I wish my, what's it called? My high def camera was there so you could see the details. You probably won't be able to see the details too well here. But yeah, it looks pretty good. I might do a little bit more, but well done, artist. Thanks, dude. All right. Almost finished here, guys. Okay. There we go. Okay, I'm going to call that one done. I like it. And then plug that in. And it looks pretty much like a glove. There you go. And then I'll sculpt in some wrinkles up here to basically make it so I know where the shirt ends. Because he's got like his sleeves rolled up, right? So, okay, so I'm going to start with this thin one again on the other side. Uh-oh. Remember how I was saying it stops getting adhesive? Well, it looks like there's a spot here that doesn't want to cooperate, so I'm going to have to be careful about this side. I don't want to pull it out and then, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that. I'm pretty excited. I'm seeing my ex-boss tomorrow. My boss recently quit where I work. And I'm going to see him tomorrow night after work. I'm going to go out and we're going to hopefully smoke a doobie and fucking chat. Maybe he'll tell me some hot goss. He was in a pretty high up position. So maybe he's got some juice for me. Not that that's really my cup of tea or anything, but he was one of my good, he's a good friend. It's always fun when your boss is your friend. We worked together at store level, and when he got into a high office job, he came and got me and brought me back to the company as a head office staff. It was cool. Furthering my all in who you know thought process, though, which is less cool, but you know. That's my own demon I need to work through. So I'm just going around the edges of this now, and it's basically just adding in a little indent at the top of the glove cuff, so it looks like it kind of goes in. It doesn't look like it's like flat on the skin. It's minimal, but it does create a little bit of depth. So nice. That looks pretty good. And this looks also mostly good. Nice, nice, nice. Okay. I can't believe there's been like a steady crowd of like 8 or 9 tonight. This is great. Thank everybody, even the ones who aren't chatting. I appreciate those of you who are just hanging out in the silence. Thank you guys. If you have any questions, you can DM me on Instagram and I will answer them. You can drop it in a comment here on the video. But thank you guys, all new and old people who are stopping in. Seems like I'm slowly getting a little few more people every week, so that's exciting. Yeah. Fucking A. Thank you all. How about that? There we go, guys. We are done. Ooh. Oh, this one's a little bit thick on this side. Good thing I put those fists in so I could really tell. Uh-oh. I have a crack. See? Right there. So the problem with that is when that cures, it's probably going to cause me some problems. It's probably going to come off. Oh, fuck off. Wow, that's too bad. That's probably going to have to get redone. I'll leave it for now, and hopefully I can work around it. But the problem is when it doesn't have a secure hold on the base figure. As soon as something like a soft plastic, like when I heat this back up to take the arms apart, it's gonna give me grief. It's gonna probably come loose and probably break off. So I will try to salvage it when the time comes, but I have a very suspicious feeling that I will not be able to. I'll most likely be doing this again. But we'll see. It may survive. There we go. That's better, though. So there we go, guys. Arm cuffs, glove cuffs done. We built up those shoulder holes using that Barnick pen. We built up the boots. And we filled in peg holes on the legs, on the arms. And we're ready to fucking rock. Okay, let's flip this camera back over to me. Nick D says, not going to lie, it's just cool watching it all come together. It is, man. That's one of the most common things I get from people who commission me to do stuff. I had a friend who did all my webpage logos and redesigns and stuff. And he's not even really a figure collector. And I made him a figure. And he was like, it's just so cool to see the step-by-step, the process, the, you know, all the add-ons and the little things that you can add on to it. So, yeah, it is cool. Anonymous Dude 123 says, you're a fascinating dude and a great artist. Could pick your brain for hours. Well, feel free to come on here anytime and ask me questions. Like I said, I'm always open to text or, you know, DMs or whatever. So thanks, guys. You guys are the best. So thank all of you who are here, you know, not just tonight, but every week. I really, really, really appreciate you guys. Anonymous Dude, Marcus Yee, NYC Figure Fanatic, Nick, thank you again for popping in tonight. You know, Quebec Diorama's a regular in here as well. But thank you guys all. It really, really means a lot that you guys support me week after week and you give up your time to come hang out and shoot the shit. So thank you guys all. This wouldn't be anything without you. I really appreciate it. So that's going to do it for this week. Stick around next week. I have my friend Pim Particles. Again, if you haven't, check him out on Instagram. Let me just put up his tag here. Pim Particles. IG. There you go. That's who we want to see. Go go check out my boy Robert at Pin Particles on Instagram. He will be joining me next week for either a chat or a chat and customizing session. I'm not sure yet, but what do you guys like? Do you guys like to see the customizing side? Do you guys prefer the interview style? What do you guys have a preference? If you do, I would love to hear it. Yeah, so let me know. Marcus says, you're the best, dude. Thanks, man. Thank you. You're the best. I appreciate you guys so much. And Anonymous Dude says, cheers. Enjoy She-Hulk. Thank you. I will. I'm going to go have a little, and then I'm going to get some She-Hulk going. So, guys, thanks again. Hope you guys all have a really great night, and we will see you next Wednesday. Peace out. Oh, join me, Moose Milk Media, on my podcast with my buddy Ryan. I'm assuming next week he is going to be on the same page he was this week about She-Hulk. He hated it. I loved it. So I'm sure we'll be doing opposites again next week as well. So, yeah, join us for that on a Saturday night on Instagram, 10 p.m. Pacific time, on Moose Milk Media Podcast, or at Moose Milk Media on Instagram. So, peace, guys. Have a goodie.